Ooh, nice. Holy crap, this looks amazing. Twist and pull, twist and pull, twist and pull. That could be a dance. Twist and pull, twist and pull. But this is actually a very healthy plant. Look at how healthy this root is. There's no sign of like underwatering or overwatering. Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. In today's episode, we're going to be repotting a lot of plants. I've been putting off this project for a long time, and I've been quietly watching my plants suffer because a lot of them needed repotting really badly. So we're gonna get to it, and we're gonna look at a lot of roots this time, so you get to see root health, root issues, maybe pests in the roots, and how I deal with potential root rot and things like that. So let's just get this started. So I'm just gonna make a cut. Let me show you the anatomy one more time in case you didn't see my old videos. These are all growing eyes, these nubs that you see here, so new vines can appear from here. So you just wanna cut like, I would wanna cut above this one nub here. So safe to say that the next vine will appear from here and maybe a few more from down below. Or you know what, I might even get a bit more greedy, like here, this is okay. And with this one here, this is still kind of growing. I don't know if I want to, yeah, I won't take it off for now. I'm just gonna leave this to photosynthesize, this top leaf here. All right, with this one that we removed, we gotta take off some leaves. The leaf to root ratio is too high in this case because this plant is still alive. It is still photosynthesizing. The leaves are still going to need water and nutrients to live, but at the same time, it needs energy to push out roots and new shoots. So too much leaves is very detrimental to this cutting. So you really want to take off. In fact, you could also take off, if you watch my other Aglaonema videos, you can cut single nodes and plant them and have babies from these single node cuttings. But I have too many plants already, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna take like the top cutting here and turn it into one plant. So I know this is a repotting video, and in the first plant we managed not to repot it, but this is one way to deal with a plant that has like been very root bound. So again, just brush up what we mentioned before. I'm gonna leave like maybe 4 leaves, and then this will go in water. For this one, I'm gonna keep it as it is. I'm gonna water it a lot less. It's lost all its leaves, so it doesn't need as much water. And new shoots gonna appear from below. And these new shoots, I can actually take cuttings off, propagate. So I can turn this into many plants. Because if I had chosen to repot this, I would have leggy aglaonemas that are extremely root bound that will probably not give me offsets. So that is my reasoning behind doing this method. So yeah, look at how cute that looks. And then with the next one, I might actually, this is activated, ooh, that's an activated charcoal. I don't need that big chunk. And I'm just gonna dip it. This is to sterilize the wound, because for this one, we're gonna actually propagate in soil. Yes, you can, if you're a little bit more adventurous, if you're a bit more experienced, aglaonemas can be propagated that way. But for those of you who are quite new to propagations, water is the way to go. It's literally like, in my case with aglaonemas, almost like 100% success rate. Look at all these leaves that we got rid of. Again, you could take single node cuttings and turn this into many plants. I don't know if I should. I might, because what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this shorter. We don't need this much length, so let me dip it in one more time. And then, I've got a pot here, and by the way, I've got potting media down below here that I've pre-mixed. I've been using a new formula because I've mentioned this a few times. I'm not sure if you watch all my videos, but I have a smaller space now than before, so I've consolidated all my potting mix into one, but I do amend them depending on the species, depending on the type of plant that I'm growing. And this is the potting mix that I use currently. It's actually very, very airy because I am an overwaterer. So this is rice hull, burnt rice hull, pumice, perlite, and some worm casting. If I was gonna deal with like climbing aeroids and stuff, I would add cocoa chips, charcoal, and some bark to this to give it that gripping property. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. This is my cutting, and this is one in water, and we've got this. So I'm gonna call it a day with the Aglaonema. Okay, you know what? With the vine, I actually chopped them up into pieces and put it in a box like this. This came from a salad bowl. I'm just gonna close it and forget it. I think about maybe 60–70% of them are actually going to make it. They're gonna turn into real plants. And these make really good gifts for friends and family and neighbors. All right, next we've got this bad boy here. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, first thing first, we're gonna take off these. These are signs of overwatering actually. As you can see, it is like mushy, it is yellowing, it's the plant trying to get rid of excess water. So when you have things like this, you just need to pay attention to water less, especially if you do decide to repot. Ooh, it smells really good in here. It smells good. It smells like celery. Yeah, it smells like celery. It smells really amazing, this plant. Let me see. Got one more here. And then it's a good idea to spray fungicide throughout this plant. This one might be burned. This you see here, the middle part, it might be sunburned. This was getting actually full sun at some point. And it was probably very shocked. One more leaf. Oh, this one came right off. It actually looks like celery. If you look at this looks a lot like celery. I wonder, is it in the same family as a celery? I don't know, but it looks very, very similar. It smells similar too. Okay, so we're gonna check out, so this is the pot that, ooh, I snapped something, I'm sorry, I snapped something. So this is the pot that it came in. Let's find out if it's root bound or not. But this is very heavy, this is very dense with water, I can feel. That's not good. That's not good. Actually, this is pretty root bound. Look at that. Nice. It does have a little bit of room for it to grow, but I'm going to move it into another bigger pot here. As you can see, there's putting a lot of babies off the side, and it seems like it's very smothered. And this potting media that it was in is actually very dense. It used to be my general purpose potting mix, and I used to retain a bit more moisture. So the new potting media is slightly more airy, it dries out a little bit faster. But keep in mind, the rule of thumb is after you have done a repotting, water that plant last, because it's got like so much more volume in a bigger pot to store water. You might actually overwater it if you are not careful. Yeah, I broke this. That's the snap that I heard earlier. I'm so sorry about that. Now this is a plant that I really adore because I bought it when it was very, very small, and now it's gotten quite big. But again, it is getting smothered, like it's getting burnt by too much direct sunlight, and the new babies are trying to sprout, but it's really got no room to grow. So I need to find like a better way to take care of this. And honestly, I live in a tiny home. I don't know if I have the space for this plant. This is a plant that can get really, really massive. And I don't really even think this is the full potential size. So I guess my goal in my plant collection is to have as many plants as possible, and that means that they're gonna be pretty small plants. I don't have room for those like large, large plants, large climbing aeroids and things like that. So I really love when other people can achieve that. Of course, you've watched Sydney Plant Guy's channel. If you watch his channel, he has like these massive, massive climbing aeroids, and he's successfully grown them indoors in his apartment. So that's really, really wonderful to see. I really enjoy that. But I can't, I have like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 different plants, and I really enjoy that, that diversity around here. So I gotta try to keep them small in a way. So this is done, and we always want to add fertilizer and pest control in all of the projects that we do today. As you can see here, I eyeball things. I've never really measured it. I eyeball it based on the plant size, the condition that it's living in, the species, and how well it's doing. If it's growing vigorously like this, I will give it a lot more feed, a lot more fertilizing. And this is not a particularly pest-prone plant, so I'm only giving it a tiny amount of pest control here. This is actually carbofuran, and this is what I use with most of my plants. And just one application, and it's all set. So the next plant that we're gonna do is this begonia here. It's the lady's finger. So this is the main leaf that we cut from, and these are this baby that has come out. So I basically placed that leaf in here. It was in my other video. I think it was in my live video where I sort of propagated this life, and now it's ready for a new home. There's actually a lot of roots there, like all around in here, and I might keep it in the moss because here's the thing with begonias, they don't like repotting all that much. Ooh, and oh my God, this is interesting. As you can see, I made all these cuts here, and then all these have actually put out roots, and supposedly babies would form. Yeah, and they have. Under here, there's babies here. See that one tiny little vine here? Let me get the moss out of the way. There are babies that came out of there. There, you see that? That's really cool. But it's grown on the underside, on the wrong side of the plant. And this one here too, I made the cut at the vein, and it's like rooted really well. So hopefully this baby will outgrow this leaf on top. So I'm just trying not to disturb it as much as possible. I'm just gonna put the whole thing in a pot like this. Oh, this is weird because it is rather shallow. Let me look around. All right, this might do. And here's the thing, with begonias, you don't want to pack it in. You want the media to be nice and fluffy and soft. In fact, sometimes in nature, they grow on like rocky surfaces, on limestone and things like that. So they don't really want things that are very compact and dense. I did figure out to put a contraption to cover the begonia. So now it's like living in here and higher humidity. And this is that main baby in here. But also if you see here, the baby that was under that leaf can now see a bit more light. This here is a Dieffenbachia Tiki. Look at how beautiful the marking is. It's striking. But here you can see it's put out all these like crazy roots. So I'm gonna check the bottom to see how it's doing. It is a little bit soggy, so it is a little bit wet. But it's okay. It is okay. I mean, it's not root bound or anything, but it's just very leggy, even though it is still a pretty small size. So yeah, this is sometimes what happens with plants. So this can turn into a nice little indoor tree. Although I prefer to maybe at some point chop it off so I can have multiple vines of this. Kind of like this bad boy here. I chopped it off right here in the middle, and it's put out 2 vines. So now it's become a bushy Dieffenbachia. And that is something that I could, technically speaking, apply to here. And since it's gotten very leggy, you know, having one single plant grow up is not so sexy, but I'm gonna do it another time. This next plant, this was my pride and joy. I got it when it was like a little pinky size. It was so tiny, and now it's grown into this. So amazing. But it's been struggling on a bit. It's losing a lot of leaves suddenly, and as you can see, it's been pot bound. I think I should have repotted it like a long time ago. So let me take it out of this contraption, and with Alocasias, we might see some babies inside. Let me find out if this got put out some corms for us, because this is what they do, especially when they have become a bit more mature. But this is actually very dense. Yeah, I do see one. I see one. This, our first baby corm, look at that. How cute. So you're gonna plant it this way in the pot. Ooh. And yeah, the mama just fell off. And yeah, I'm gonna end up having variegated Alocasia babies. Let me see how many more we can find. This is why Alocasias, they don't hold up their value at all, because they do reproduce like crazy. I see another one. That's 2. I really gotta label the babies this time because I don't want to lose it. Sometimes I propagate plants and I never label them and I never know what they are until they sprout or until they die. But this is actually a very healthy plant. Look at how healthy this root is. There's no sign of like underwatering or overwatering of rot. I found another corm. Wait, where did it go? I found it and it fell somewhere. Where did it go? Here. One more. I've got 4 babies so far. Oh, 5. Some of them are so small that it's easy to miss them. Like this one is this is one. This is another one. I think some might have fallen off into that. Oh, I see one more here. How many is this? Like 7, 8? So it's 8 now. Wow. That's cool. That's really cool. Found one more 9. I'm gonna stop at 10. I really am gonna stop at 10 because we don't have all day for this. And any corms that, see, I found a 10th one here. Any corm that we find here, in here, it can still live and grow. So it's not bad at all. Let me see, this is same size as before. Do I want to keep it in the same size pot? Maybe one size bigger. You know, maybe I'm just gonna use one that is actually just taller. This is much better. I'm gonna use the same potting media again because I see no signs of rot or there's no pests, there's no disease, and there's still some fertilizer I can see, some slow release fertilizer in here. So I'm not gonna add any more fertilizer to this one this time. And also some babies might be in here, so maybe we will see some of them sprout eventually. I meant to actually mix it with new media. So let me do this one more time. That would be a good idea, so that the old and the new can kind of mingle together. So alocasias, they like fast draining potting media that is consistently and slightly and evenly moist throughout. They don't like things that are soggy or things that are like soggy in the bottom and dry on top. So they really like things to be very even and stable in their potting media. If you let them dry out, they will not be happy. So semi-hydro seem to work wonders for these guys, and they are spider mite magnets. So I'm gonna do pest control here. All right. That is done. And for the babies, I'm gonna just put it in this potting mix. Now the challenge is to know which side up. Sometimes you gotta use your feelings. There's always a knob on the top that shows the growth point, and then below that would be like a root. So the root would actually extend and be attached to the main plant. Kind of think of it like a placenta, so where you cut it off. So you wanna plant it right side up, so it will grow towards the light. And keep it, I would say you don't want to plant it deep, you just kind of want to put the whole thing right on the surface of the media so it can peek just a little bit of light. You want to keep this lightly moist. It needs a bit of water. This is a good way to sprout them. I mean, if you leave them on with a parent plant, it might eventually sprout on its own. But it is quite unlikely. I think there might be conditions that need to trigger them for them to sprout leaves. But a lot of these just stay attached to the parents, and unless you break it off, like what I just did, and plant them, that's how you get like tons of babies. And I hope that these are variegated. I really hope so. This should have been a video in itself. I'm back with some more plants, and here is a beautiful Aglaonema, I think it's Big Roy or one of those. And it's been in water, and look at that, it's looking beautiful here. How stunning. And it's been here for like 2-3 months or so. And as you can see here, it's putting out these secondary vines, secondary roots from the main ones. So the main one's main job is to anchor the plant, and the secondary roots, like these ones here, these are the ones that will take in nutrients and moisture more efficiently. I've actually overwatered a ton of Aglaonemas in my lifetime, so they really, really hate water, and so I've been bad at making sure they're not overwatered. But yeah, they actually love bright light, very, very bright, to keep these vibrant colors on them, but not direct sunlight. And then you really need to, I found one more corm, so thankfully, let me put that in there and, later on. This is why sometimes mysterious plants pop up everywhere. Or you know what might be fun? I'm just gonna keep that in here. Just to give myself a little surprise. You know what I mean? It'll be a laugh when this pops up, you know, a few months later. Why not? But this is one that actually grew into a massive bush. It was so beautiful, it was so lush. And then I overwatered it, and now I have to cut all the top off. But the good news is I have like 20 of these cuttings that I can propagate and give away to people. So I'm gonna keep maybe just one for myself. I mean, they're not particularly expensive, but I guess they're worth something. I mean, if you trade it into with other plants. By the way, speaking of which, one way to sustainably grow your plant collection is to keep trading it with other plants. So don't keep buying plants out of your pocket. And once you have a decent sized collection, you can always, you know, meet with new people and make fair trades. So this is the water that was propagated in earlier, and this is very good for the plant. So you always water the plant with the same water that you gave it. And with water propagated plants, you want to keep this wet for the first like week or so, and then you want to slowly back away with watering and let it dry out more and more over time. That's done. And one more aglaonema. I want to promise that this might be the last aglaonema today, because this one, I bought it like in this potting media. This is not my potting mix. And it was like a year ago, and it grew so big. This is the Aglaonema super white, if I'm not wrong. And it's gotten so leggy. But there's a lot of leaves here, and because it's got no chlorophyll, I'm super afraid of propagating this plant, because I don't think this is going to be an easy plant to propagate. Usually you still need a bit of green on the leaves, if you know what I mean, to propagate. So let me find I need a tall pot for this. Yeah, this might do. So it's gone so leggy that it needed a moss pole to be tied onto it. But this potting media is like bland because it is like just rice hull pretty much. And it is flopping over a little bit. So it's time to give it like a new potting mix, give it a bit fresh nutrients. But this is what the roots of aglaonemas look like. And this is exactly why they hate water. If you see roots thick like this, kind of like anthuriums, they don't need a ton of water. They can store the moisture in the roots. So if you keep watering this, the roots will turn to mush, and it will rot, and it will spread to the plant. This is usually what happens with my aglaonemas. Fresh potting mix. I'm not even gonna water this today. I'm really not. The media before, it felt moist. So I think there's a little bit of moisture left in there. I just want to keep it on the dry side. And with these clear plastic pots, you can actually see how moist it is in there by looking at the surface. If it's moist, you'll see all this water dews all the way inside the pot. So this is one way to prevent overwatering for me. And the reason why giving it a tall pot is because each of these nodes can actually put out roots. So all of these spent nodes that used to have leaves, and once it's got a lot of roots, what I can do is I can open it and cut single node cuttings, but with the roots existing already. So this is one way to have a successful propagation of the aglaonema. So I'm just trying to give it as much surface as possible to put all these like roots in there. And then we will definitely one day propagate this beauty. This is actually goat poop fertilizer. Why not? And I might just add a little bit of a fungicide on top of this, just to make sure that no funky fungus grows on the goat poop or like in the media here. So sometimes it's a good preventary measure to also add this on the top, a bit on the topsoil, so every time you water, it will seep inside. But they are beneficial and they are harmful fungus, just so you know, and it kills them indiscriminately. Sometimes you can also mix this with water and spray it all around the leaves to make sure that you have no fungus growing on the leaves. This is a fungicide. So that's done. Look how beautiful this is. This is a stunning Aglaonema, but it needs to grow upright. It needs to grow like that. And it hasn't, it's been floppy. So let me care for it for a bit. It is getting a little bit dark, so I'm gonna just do one more plant and then call it a day, and we're gonna resume tomorrow. This is the Scindapsus. I think this is the satin variegated. And let me show you what it looks like after water propagations. It's pretty tight, very, very tight in there. I hope I don't tear any of the leaves. There you go. Bam. Nice. That was a successful birthing. And for this one, I think, let me count. I have, I think, a few vines living in here, like 3. I've got 3 vines living in here, and they all have put out leaves. Oh, beautiful, and the variegation is so stable. I love it. I'm gonna put it in this one pot here, and then I might actually, you know what, even opt for a smaller pot than this teeny tiny baby pot. And I love it. I love these small little pots. And the reason is because I don't want to overwater them. If you grow them in bigger pots, you will eventually have to upsize the pot later on. But for now, this one is more than enough for a plant this size. And this potting mix is perfect for these kinds of just bushy trailing plants, like the Philodendron hedraceums, your pothos, things like that. And of course, if there's no perfect potting mix, use whatever you feel comfortable with. Use ingredients that are available in your area or a brand that you trust. Honestly, the type of potting mix depends on the environment that you're in, your care style, and what's available in your region. Like, you may not have rice hull or burnt rice hull, which is available here, that I find fascinating for my climate and my care style. But if you only have access to like cocoa peat, perlite, sure, I mean, they work well too, but you just have to water them a bit differently in terms of frequency. Okay, cute. This is very cute. And then use that same water to water the plant. And the thing with this variegated Scindapsus is that someday I hope we can see people grow big bushy pots of these, because right now they're still a bit expensive, so people sell them in like one little vine. So we see them on Instagram like climbing up a moss pole. I mean, it's beautiful, but I really hope to have that trailing, bushy, variegated Scindapsus more commonly as an affordable plant. Right, so this is actually a few days later. I've been busy, and there's this Anthurium that's variegated, and this one leaf here is telling me that it's overwatered. It is looking like it's mush. So I'm gonna check on the roots real quick, because it is living up on a higher shelf, and we actually just kind of hose it down daily. I don't see any signs of root rot at all, but it is a little bit wet here. So this plant actually likes to dry out way more than it is now. So it shouldn't be sopping wet in the evening. So let me figure out another pot situation. I might give it a terracotta pot this time. By the way, I switched the camera, so this is now a DSLR. I kind of prefer to film on my iPhone, which I did yesterday. Let me know down below what you prefer. This camera is actually a little bit harder to edit. There's a lot of manual grading and stuff that you need to do, and the iPhone automatically sets everything up for you. So this is actually in a bit of an aroid mix. As you can see here, it's got like cocoa chips, it's got like charcoal and everything on there. And let me see. I've got those amendments right here. I don't know if you can see well into this pot, but there's charcoal, there's bark, and then there's cocoa chips in there. So I'm just gonna mix the new media together like this. And then for this plant, let me see. There's actually some roots down here, so I'm gonna add just a tiny bit into this terracotta pot. And then this pot is actually way too deep, but it's okay, because this plant will actually grow outwards over time. So I want to start burying this a little bit more into the potting media, because you can see here, there are roots here that are exposed to air. So if I bury this slowly and as the plant grows bigger, I'll just keep adding more media. So I don't want to fill this pot all the way up to the very top with potting mix. I really don't. And for those of you new to the concept of this, the reason why I'm changing this to a terracotta pot is because terracotta pots dry out almost twice, maybe 3 times faster than plastic pots. Because terracotta pots, the water can be absorbed by the pot itself. And in plastic pots, there's no other way for the water to go except be absorbed by the roots or surface evaporation. So in this case, this is like a much, much faster way to dry out a plant. And I'm actually an avid overwater. I do hose down my plants every day. I don't have time to give any one of them special attention. I don't check on them before I water. Although if you have a smaller plant collection, you absolutely should. You should check on your plants, water them when they're bone dry. But in my case, that's not possible anymore. I've got like over 1,000 plants. And today was the day that I water all my plants myself because it's the girls' day off. And it took me about 2 hours to water the entire collection. Imagine spending 2 hours every day watering your plants. Can't get anything else done. So, yeah. I use my feelings. As you can see on the table, I'm just using my feelings. I don't have a ratio. I don't go by the books. That's my approach to plant care. I don't treat it like brain surgery or rocket science. When your plant is in a terracotta pot, slightly more pesticide and slightly more fertilizing, because the fertilizer, the nutrients would also be absorbed by the pot, unfortunately. Whereas in the plastic pots, the nutrients has nowhere else to go except be taken up by the roots. This is a beautiful Anthurium gifted by Eddie, Mr. Eddie Pranoto. Look at how beautiful that is. Our next plant may require some of this. This is just garden soil. And just so you know, I mean, I've covered this years ago on my channel, but some of you are new or maybe you want a refresher course. This is just garden soil. These are usually made with like clay and sand that's from the mountains. But in my case here, I'm going to do this beautiful Chrysothemis pulchella. It's actually living in, see how crispy it is? You hear that? That is the sound of dried leaves, crisping leaves. And I keep saying this, but you can tell that leaves are crispy because they're too dry, because they don't have that yellow edge around the edge of the leaves right before the crisp. They just crisp up. That's when you know it is underwatering. Usually with overwatering, you have the dry crispness, but you also have a bit of a yellow line around it. That's how at least in my environment, that's the telltale sign of under and overwatering. And in this case, it is severely underwatered for many reasons. Number one, this is a thirsty plant. Number two, it is living outdoors. Outdoor plants will drink up much water than they do indoors. And then also there's many plants living in this pot. They used to be so compact, so near the pot and bushy, and now they've gotten like leggy. I see it's like falling over. So yeah, but this is, by the way, one of my favorite plants. I do have a video on this, so feel free to check out that video on my catalog, the Chrysothemis pulchella. They flower beautifully. They put out these yellow or orange flowers. So this is one of my favorite plants. But again, the reason why we're repotting is it needs a bigger pot. Oh, this one came right off. And this is still a viable cutting. This can still be grown. So you just stick it back in the soil. And this is one of the easier plants, fast growing. And it can take a wide variety of conditions. It can live indoors as well. But because this is going outdoors, I'm giving it just like this soil that will retain water much longer. So I don't have to water this like twice a day and still have it crisp up like the way it's crisping up now. And at some point with plant that grows as fast as this, I'm going to keep pruning it, cutting it, sticking it back in the soil. And also this kind of garden soil, I would not recommend for indoor growing. They do retain way too much moisture, but there's also too much organic material in here. So it really is much, much, much more suitable for outdoor garden situation. Or maybe for like fruit and vegetable growing and things like that. All right, now that it's potted up nicely, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to propagate. Take this off. I'm gonna take some of this leaf off. It is flowering, so I'm gonna take off the flower because if you let it bloom in between while you are trying to propagate. All the energy is going into the flowers. It's not going to put out roots wonderfully. And then after you do that with the top cutting, you just want to stick it back into the soil. One more time. You can watch my video, that episode, if you want to see how I propagate this. And that's done. All right, the next plant that we will handle, this is very exciting. I've been meaning to do this for a long time, and I bought these planters specifically for this reason. It's because this gorgeous plowmanii you see here, I've actually propagated a lot of this. This is one of the branches. I did like let it trail over the next pot. I have a video on how I let it trail over the next pot, and without propagating it, I can let it root and put out new leaves before cutting it off later. So you can propagate this safely using that method with like very little risk. Look how beautiful that is. Look at all these roots. So with these plants, they're actually terrestrial philodendrons, like the gloriosum, and what else is there? There are a few more that are actually, they grow sideways. So I'm gonna put this, as you can see, this is going sideways. I'm gonna put this in right in the start. So it will just keep growing further and further along, and then put out bigger and bigger leaves. So that's sort of my reasoning around doing this. Take out my chunky aeroid stuff here. This might take up a lot of the potting media. But can you imagine this? Like if this grows up all the way to the very end, it's gonna put out like massive leaves because it's got like so much area to grow into. But we gotta be careful for now because this is a really big pot. It's very easy to overwater this plant, and you don't wanna overwater this plant. I feel like it's easier to just pour it. Yeah, that's pretty much like all of my stock. Actually, I'm debating if I should even amend them with our regular potting media here, because this will retain a bit more moisture than the one that we did before, and I'm actually very worried about overwatering at this point because it's such a small plant in a big pot. So I might actually just not really. I mean, normally I would mix it in, I would put it on top, so every time we water it, the finer media on top will slowly kind of fill in the holes or the spaces inside. But in this case, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm also gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna add more of the media towards this side. So if you look inside, there'll be a slight slant in the height of the potting media, because there's nothing around here on this side. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to move everything over there. And I do wanna bury the central stem. The central stem can go a little bit under the potting media. Because the stem of these guys, they actually root on all sides, the stem. So they can root on the top side of the stem as well. So it's good that if it's a little bit buried. Okay, that's done. And we got a leaf here that is like infected. I might take it off. And I've got one more here. It's a little bit infected, but it's doing okay. I do spray this down religiously, and the new leaf looks beautiful and glossy. And I've got so many of these lying around. I see more on the floor. So I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. I'm just hoarding. I might like gift some of those away and things like that. I'm only gonna keep like one because I don't need all of them to look like massive. You know what I mean? All right, next we've got this Sansevieria or Dracaena, if you still want to call it that. This is actually very basic, but this plant actually bloomed for me one time. It was such a beautiful bloom. Whoops. And actually, I quite like this height. I have probably around 20 species of Sansevierias around my house, but then some of them are, varying shapes, sizes, heights. Some of them are teeny tiny. But there's a space that I want this. I want it to be on my balcony. There's a balcony where there's an air conditioning external unit. As I'm filming this, I noticed that I have all these leca balls. that they were grown in terracotta and lacquer walls because they were watered every single day outdoors. So I'm gonna change the potting situation completely. And this is actually good for Sansevierias because they really are very drought tolerant. They thrive in drought. So I'm gonna get a pot ready for all these lacquer balls. So they're like rooting everywhere. Might actually take a while because like I can feel that the plant itself is like rooted onto the terracotta pot. Okay, you know what? I realized I don't have the patience to take them off one by one. And I did notice that it went a little bit loose as I was trying to lift the plant. So I'm gonna try to wiggle this whole thing out of the pot. And by the way, Sansevierias, even if they don't have any roots, they can be grown bare root. Sometimes they're sold without any soil, without any roots. Okay. Sorry, I know some of you guys comment in my episodes that I'm very impatient, and I am. There are probably a million ways to do this better, but I am strapped for time, and I don't want this episode to become like... All right. This is really not easy, but I'm glad to do it. There's a lot of mealybugs down there. In my climate, mealybugs, they love the Sansevieria. Ooh, nice. Holy crap, this looks amazing. I love it, you guys. I love unpotting plants and studying them underneath. And it is, I can tell that it's trying to grow everywhere. It's putting out all these, like, I don't know if you would even call it rhizome or something else, but it is like every stem here will put up this connecting vine that goes down, and then it will sprout another one. This one's another leaf that's sprouting out, forming a new plant. Now, one of them did flower for me. Sorry, things are like falling off everywhere. But this flowered beautifully for me, but I think it's only one of the plant. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they probably can flower multiple times per plant because there's multiple plants living in here. Or it is possible that they only flower once. That's also quite possible. Look at that. This is also a new vine that's coming out. So this is just how they multiply themselves in the soil. So I have half a mind to grow this in my front garden, in the ground, in the soil. But this is what happens with Sansevierias. They can go completely out of control. They can grow out of control. So when I grow them in here, I place it kind of in the middle of the pot. It's gonna find its way, and it's gonna spread. It's gonna spread like, it's gonna spread like sideways everywhere. So this is what I really quite enjoy about them. But this plant actually can take full sun, by the way. So it's living somewhere where it's getting direct sunlight. They can also take low light. So not a lot of you guys know that, but Sansevierias, some species can be acclimatized to take full sun. They hate water, so I'm sure you've heard that they are very drought tolerant plants. Extremely pest prone here in my climate. Scale love them, and mealybugs also love them. And because I have garden soil here already, I'm just going to use garden soil here. And I know that they can do well because they do grow in the ground, in the soil, in gardens here in Indonesia. But I do need to be mindful not to get it like sopping wet in here. It needs to kind of dry out. So in the balcony that I live in, I might not even water it. I might just leave it as it is. If it droughts for a few days, if there's like a drought for like a week, it's going to survive, believe me. And I hope that this will grow into like a very bushy plant, which maybe I can show you in my next year houseplant tour, my full tour video. You can see like a huge pot of this, and maybe in bloom. My God, I would really love it. I remember it bloomed last year around this time, during the rainy season. So maybe the rainy season did help it along with blooming. I'm gonna use a lot of this. This is a pest control, a pesticide called carbofuran. Now, I would be mindful not to spread this into like soil underground because this kills everything. Even the good stuff, like I'm sure this is not bad pests, but it will kill them. One more thing is that this is living in a container, so the toxins from this is going to be absorbed by the soil, and then it's not going into the groundwater and all the other systems. This is contained within the container. And they do have a half-life. So over a certain period of time, they do dissipate. Over time, they get used up by the plant absorbs it, and things like that. So the amount that you use, you just gotta be mindful not to use too much. And of course, I wouldn't use it on my edible fruits, and again, not in the ground. But within pots, I'm kind of okay with that. So, all right, so you see that balcony up there, that little area there? That's where I placed the Sansevieria. I put a ZZ plant next to it, and then the Philodendron plowmanii is actually right behind it. So that might be a really interesting showcase for some plants. Different shapes of leaves. Welcome to a brand new day. This is a Nepenthes. I did propagate this from a single vine, and now it's put out a secondary vine here. So this is very cute. But I'm gonna quickly pull it out of the pot just to check the roots. The roots are actually incredibly fine, and I have half a mind to give it like a bigger pot, because the roots are actually quite root bound, but it is only root bound in the bottom, but not in the top. So I might actually leave this one alone for now. But in case you're curious, this is what the roots of the Nepenthes look like. And it's very important for us to know what the roots of different plants look like. It informs us about their watering habits. For example, this one, it's telling us that it does not really want to dry out completely. And absolutely, and I mean absolutely, no fertilizer allowed. Carnivorous plants have to be in sterile potting media that has no nutrients at all. And I'm waiting for the pictures. I don't know what conditions it needs for pictures to appear. I'm guessing a stable condition, nice humidity, but maybe more light will help it along as well. All right, this next plant, this is a Stephania erecta. It was grown like this in soil, like this deep, but the problem is that it suddenly shrank over time, and it's either getting not enough light, or I did take it out of the pot and I found a lot of mealybugs in the bottom. Even though I did pest control, the mealybugs kept coming. So what I did was I washed it all off with soap, waited another week, washed it off with soapy water, waited another week, and washed off with soapy water. This is to break the life cycle of the mealybugs. And then now I have this, and it's actually shriveled up a little bit, but I'm going to be planting it in soil today. Hopefully this will grow better. And I don't know, I still haven't gotten the watering correct. Sometimes I think it's overwatered, sometimes I think it's underwatered, but you know, I never know. This is such a mysterious plant. But I have a feeling before it was living in a terracotta pot in a very, very airy, succulent potting mix. And sometimes I think it dries out within an hour of watering, and I think it was drying out way too much. My approach this time may be to plant this in also a terracotta pot, but I'm going to plant it quite deep in there with a very fast draining potting media. So more of the surface will be inside of the soil. And the lady at the Chatuchak plant market in Bangkok told me that these guys are often fertilized there where they are. So they might be pretty heavy feeders, but we might be wrong with that. She also said that they can take full sun. Again, you have to take all these advice with a grain of salt. But she is a specialist Stephania seller, so she's got a nice smile. So yeah, I planted it really, really deep in there, just leaving a little bit of the top of the bulb there. And I'm gonna add some strong pesticide and also fertilizing. This here is a Euphorbia neorubella. It's a vining plant and it looks a little bit like a Hoya, but it is a Euphorbia and it's supposed to have a codex inside. Now this plant dries out way too fast. Like it's living in terracotta and it's living in this very, very greedy potting media. So I am going to repot this into something else. This is a pretty big terracotta pot, but let me actually unpot this to look at some of its, if it's formed a codex in there or if it's got like roots and stuff. So correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes you need to grow them in a little bit above the surface so that the codex can enlarge. Some of the caduciform plants kind of require that. And I do see some mushiness down here. This is what the inside look like. So you see this is a fresh codex here, but the ones below, there's a caduciform below that has died out. I'm gonna pull it out. Yeah, that is no good for us. So we're left with this tiny little plant, but it is quite small. So I'm gonna keep it maybe in the same pot, but I'm gonna amend the potting media so that it retains just a little bit more water than before. Yeah, this one is not doing well. So you can see here, this is a Codex that kind of, I don't know, it dried off, or it's like, yeah, I think this dried off. But on top, this is forming its own bulb. So this is going to expand in size over time. Out with the old media. We might use this pumice on something else later, but I am going to give it that more general type potting media that has a lot more amendments that retain just a little bit more water than before. And I really do not want to plant this too deep, I think. But I might want to have the Codex be a little bit submerged in there. By the way, this is actually a cute plant. If you Google it up, you will find some really cute photos of it. I really do recommend it. It's quite forgiving, and you can propagate by single vines. I have a video. If you look up in my channel, type in the species name, that video should come up. In Indonesia, it's called cendrawasih, but it is in the Abelmoschus genus. It is in the same genus as the okra. So let me unpot this. This needed repotting a long time ago because I did notice that one is getting laggy, but it is a fast-growing plant. It can take direct sunlight and even full sun. You can see roots from down below. So it needed repotting a while ago. Actually, it's not so bad. But I do want to repot this because this is dry every day, so it needs more potting media and needs a little bit more water retention. We're going to open another bag of soil. We used the entire bag yesterday. Okay. It's just one size bigger. You don't want to go too much. Yeah, this soil is like super wet. I don't know, I think water got in there. Rainwater might have gotten in there somehow. It's like really disgusting. And honestly, I'm a little bit grossed out by this, this kind of, what do you call this? Not texture, this kind of consistency. It's a lot like poop. So yeah, put this down. It's very, very clay-like, but it does retain quite a lot of moisture. It's not perfect here. I don't want to push it down too much. I don't want my hands too like mushy and dirty, but you get the point. The rain's gonna do a good job at kind of evening out the top surface here. But this is a moisture-loving plant, and if I'm not wrong, it's from Indonesia. Is it from Borneo or Kalimantan? I don't know. One of those. This one has more interesting roots. Let me come around. See that? See that? It's a little bit colorful. Interesting. This has put out a secondary branch here, which is very cute. They tend to do that. This was propagated, by the way, from the top cutting, so you can just cut it and stick it in moss and propagate it. I am tempted to do that, but you know, I have way too many plants already and running out of rooms, but they're so fun to propagate. We did film a video for this, but that video was a bit of a failure. We lost all of the water propagations. I don't think the water propagations did well at all. So I'm not sure if that video is gonna see the light of day. I'm not sure. Not a video that I'm very proud of, but we might, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I show my failures as well on this channel. Usually plants that take a lot of sun, they take a lot of nutrients as well. That's that. Now I picked up some more plants. This is a Persian shield. I think it's a Strobilanthes diarianus from Myanmar. Beautiful, but this is not the best shape. But look at this cute little bear jar that I got. I got it from a honey. So I bought the honey because of this jar. And look at the roots. Let's look at some roots. Ta-da. This is a thirsty plant. It's often used in gardening. We've seen a lot of these in our nursery or like our botanical adventures. What we will do is we will plant this in a new pot using this moist substrate. Because these guys, they do dry out quite a lot. And this is going outside. This potting media, I'm not going to really grow plants with it indoors. It's not really that suitable. Now we did lose all of this. This was growing in sort of my little front yard area. It's an area where there's like a lot of plants grown together, and somehow I think during the heat wave, spilled pesticide all over the table. We're not supposed to touch this with our hands. This pesticide is actually extremely toxic. So I need to clean the table up at some point, or just leave it alone, I don't know. But we did lose all of these plants, and so I'm happy that we managed to save some by water propagation. This is a fast-growing plant, so we always have to propagate it and start it over and make it more bushy. We gotta prune it often, and they can get big really fast. And while we're here, we're gonna look at this. We bought this years ago. Ooh, this is actually a little bit too dry. Now I've got a counterpart here. This is one that the mother plant, but it was grown in low light on that shelf over there. And look at that, it's reverted to green. So don't argue with me, because some people still do today that that low light doesn't cause variegation. It does. It really does. This was grown outside in a bit of direct sunlight in water propagation, and it kept the variegation. And this got leggier as well because it's like not getting enough light. But let me quickly look at the roots here. This is actually a thirsty plant too. And if I dare say so, I mean, you can see from how thin the roots are that they are actually quite thirsty. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna plant this together because I am running out of space. So this one big happy family is going together. And I meant to show you the roots. Actually, I haven't checked it out yet, but I know that it's ready. Whoa, look at that. How nice. I love this kinds of reveal. It puts out these like pink flowers. I think I see some buds that are coming. Really don't know what it is, sorry. If you know what it is, do shout it out. But it seems to really like a bit of direct sunlight. I don't know, maybe even full sun. But it is a thirsty plant. It is like an outdoorsy garden plant. I don't think it will do well indoors. Nice, we used up all this soil, so we can move on to other plants later. These are a few Dieffenbachias that I've grown, and they were propagated from these like single nodes. Let me pull it out gently. Gently. It's quite interesting to see these cuttings. So I put like a single node without this vine here. It was just like a single, I don't know if you can see that like that. So I put it in soil and it grew roots underneath it, and above it, it grew this shoot. So it's got the growing side facing up. I've propagated lots of plants and I've made a lot of videos about propagating plants this way. Dieffenbachia, Aglaonemas, they can be propagated this way. But I guess it is now time to put all these into its individual pots. Now I also need to be more mindful because these guys, they were grown in a completely closed situation. Oh, look at all these beautiful, amazing root porn. Look at that. These were grown in 100% humidity, so I might have to acclimatize it slowly to, or you know what, Dieffenbachias, they are strong. I'm just gonna yank it out and live it out to live in normal humidity. So this is what I propagated with, and this one is a slow one. It hasn't grown roots and it hasn't grown the new vine yet, but as you can see, it's coming along the way. So this one I might actually put it back in there, but I don't even know what I'm gonna do with all these. I really don't know. It's just hoarding at this point. I mean, they make nice gifts for neighbors, so maybe this is nice. But Dieffenbachias are also highly, they're not toxic. It's the crystal oxalates are very, very irritating to pets and children if they ever come in contact with them. And I need to be mindful not to overwater this because this stem here, as you can see here, is a massive chunk of solid material. It can rot, actually. So water carefully at this point. But look at how cute this is. Love propagating plants this way and then potting them up. It's so satisfying. I hope this is just as satisfying for you to watch. But again, we really need to be mindful about watering for the next few days. I might not even water this for now. These are also really good office plants, by the way. Dieffenbachias, they're badass. They are beautiful, nice markings. They're easy to care for. They're very forgiving. They can take medium to bright indirect light. The next plant that we're gonna do is this beautiful Sarracenia. Look at that. This is like, I don't know if it's gonna focus. Yeah. The next plant we're gonna do is this Sarracenia. It's been living for like 3 years in this medium. So maybe it is time to look into repotting it, because look at that, there's so many materials trying to grow out from it. And this flowered for me a few times, really cute flowers. And I think these kinds of leaves are actually leaves that are not viable. They didn't become pitchers, but they're also viable for the plants to photosynthesize. And these are the actual pitchers. You put a little bit of water in there and insects can get in there. We might actually throw a slow release fertilizer in here with a bit of water just to help it digest along and try to do some repotting. As you can see, this is growing well. I have a dilemma. I'm out of pots. I don't have pot that is one size bigger. So you know what I'm gonna do? Let's try to unpot this first. Let's look in there. Cute. And this is what their roots look like. Cute. And they wanna be perpetually wet and they wanna be in full sun. I was thinking if I could, instead of getting like a bigger size pot, if it would be viable for me to separate this, because I know, let me try to break this clump. I see different clumps in here. You could probably like separate this. Let me see how hard it is to do. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. Twist and pull. Twist and pull, twist and pull. There could be a dance. Twist and pull, twist and pull. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That was not hard at all. Okay. So this is probably a viable plant on its own. This is so beautiful, by the way. Now, I was going to say earlier that this plant in its native habitat, they do go dormant. And I grew this, I think, it was a tiny plant from Fian. He's like my online friend. I've gotten a few plants from. I have some Nepenthes seedlings upstairs that is sprouting that came from him. So I took a whole seed pod from the Nepenthes, and of course I filmed it. So you'll be able to see the process soon. Let me get some moss out. So they want to live in full moss, I grew it outdoor in full sun, and I put like a bowl underneath so it doesn't ever dry out. And they've just been thriving, and they didn't go dormant on me. Like for them to go through dormancy, you need to give them like the cool, like winter temperature, or some people even cut it up to like a bulb, like the what do you call it? Like down below, you take all the foliage off, and then they would put it in the fridge to induce dormancy. I've not done that. I'm not that kind of plant parent. I don't have the time and energy to take care of one specific plant species because I've got like thousands of plants. So I just left it be, and you know what? It's done well. Look at it. It's like it died back a little bit. I think during the hot season. Sorry, during the low light season, there was low light back there at some point, and it didn't do so well. And now that it's getting full sun again, it grew back. So this plant really requires full sun to thrive. There's quite a few clumps in here. So I'm gonna go repot one more, and I'm just gonna pot it up. Oh, I see a few actually. This is like this barely has any roots. So I don't know if this is going to make it, but look at that, that's one cutting. That's cute, very cute. I don't know if it's gonna live, but I'm gonna find out. I'm going to find out. So this is the thing about plants that I love, is like you could actually experiment and learn and see. So this one is just getting its own pot. It's got like barely any roots, but it'll be so cute if this like survives. One more thing about these guys, I was pleasantly surprised because I watered these with my tap water and they seem to be okay. I mean, it's not in the best shape, but it's not like the worst Sarracenia you've ever seen in your life either. Although it would be much better to let the rain take care of their watering, because the rain water doesn't have like these particles that are in our tap water, but they have survived. So maybe this Sarracenia Lana's Delight is one that is more hardy. And a lot of carnivorous enthusiasts grow these indoors under artificial light, and they look so beautiful glowing under those purple light. So I really recommend this plant, and when I'm more confident about the care, I will do a specific video to share how to care for it and propagate it again. And I want to show you this. I know like videos becoming a bit too long. These are Dischidia nummuloria variegata. I just put them along a moss and it's grown beautifully for me. So I'm just going to pot these up, but I don't think I need to show you how I pot these up because it's quite easy. I've got a long trailing one upstairs. I don't even know why I'm propagating this one, but it just seemed like a shame to, and I love the little tiny babies leaves that come out from this. Look at that, that's so cute. Look at the tiny baby leaves. So I really enjoy having these around, but we've been filming way too much. I've got one more plant. This is a caladium. And this is potentially our last footage. And I'm sorry, these videos tend to be a little bit chaotic, unstructured, because I really have too much going on. There's a lot that needs saving, and I don't particularly, I just pick out whatever calls out to me, whatever I walk by. Look at that, how cute is that? Hello. And here's the problem. Caladiums, this particular species, it can get massive, it can get huge and beautiful, but it cannot do that when it is root bound like this, and it cannot do that when it's got so many siblings nearby. It's smothering each other from light. The younger leaves are not getting enough light. They're fighting for nutrients, and they're fighting for root space. So that is just how it is. But caladiums here in my climate, they have to be grown in full sun, particularly this species. Some of them, they cannot take full sun apparently, but they love some direct sunlight. And they like to live perpetually in water. So this is how you grow caladiums. You've got to put a bowl under them, and then they spread. They put out these babies. But if you want like these massive caladiums that you see on Instagram, you can't do it when you've got so many siblings like this. I'm going to tease out the roots a bit to kind of separate it. I don't know if I'm going to see one main tuber in there, or this might be separate ones, because they do form a caudex, they form a bulb, underneath, like a potato, and you can actually cut the potato. I have a video on that. I've done so many of these videos. I've got a video on how you can just cut the potato into like slices and just grow them. Each part of the potato can grow eye and grow a new baby. So I'm going to separate this and then like select one, like do a beauty contest, select one, and have that one grown in a pot. I'm going to fertilize it and take real good care of it. And hopefully that one plant will size up into like something like monstrous, something huge. That is indeed the goal. This actually feels really nice. This was in my general purpose potting media, my old potting mix that I no longer do, but I'm actually quite happy to use the new media with this instead, because I think this is a little bit too soggy. In my new media, it's a little bit airy, but if you put a bowl of water in it, there's some oxygen, some air might still be able to move around in the soil. I'm starting to feel a little bit of that potato. And I think I see two plants in here. There are two main potatoes, I think. It just came naturally, it just broke apart on its own. Yeah, and keep in mind, in case I forget to say later, plants that take full sun like this, they take on more nutrients, so we want to fertilize this quite a bit. And let me show you, this is what their potato looks like. They can get much bigger. The potato can get like huge. And the larger the potato, the bigger the leaves are going to be. Yeah, this one, as you can see here, this is one big potato right here with all these plants growing on it. So I might do something drastic. You might not like this, but for example, this one here is gone. I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna do a beauty contest. This one new vine here is not doing so well. I'm gonna take it off completely. Now I could technically grow this probably. I see a bit of the potato came off with it. See, this can be grown on its own. This can become a separate plant, and you can propagate them this way. And I really don't think I will, unfortunately, because this is a very common plant, and we've got too many already. But yeah, this is one massive potato. I guess there's 3 in here, that's fine. I'm gonna keep the 3 in here. Now it's got, I know it looks sadder than before. Before it was like massive and bushy and everything, but this is like giving it the chance to grow into its like larger leaf potential by taking off a lot of its siblings. Unfortunately, this is just what happens. You gotta cannibalize. There's 3 plants living in here. I mean, if I was gonna be brutal, I might even take 1 more off, but you know what? Today's not that day. So I'm gonna leave the 3 siblings in here. And this one, we're running out of space. I am going to put this in my new potting media. And both of these definitely need like a tray underneath, like a deep tray. And they need to have water perpetually. If you let this dry out, you're gonna set it back a lot. Oh, and this one I forgot, hang on, that I will take off some of the babies. I'll take this one off. Unfortunately, today's video is not one of those where I can show you update right in the same video because we did so many things. But stay tuned in my next plant tour video. You will see this maybe in like 6 months. You will see some of these babies and how they've grown. Sorry if this video is a little bit too long. I really apologize, but these videos tend to be chaotic and long. But I'm happy to show you all these skills, all these techniques that I've learned along the way from traveling, talking to different plant masters, and stay tuned for more.
Is anyone there?
All right, if you're still here, that probably means one of 2 things. Either you really enjoyed the episode, in which case I really implore for you to please send the video a like and do comment down below. YouTube really heavily rewards creators that have strong engagements, and it will push my videos to other plant lovers like yourself. Or maybe you've got your hands dirty with laundry, or you're washing dishes, or you're putting away things and you didn't have the hands to click away from this video, in which case I apologize because I'm gonna keep talking. Now, being a content creator these days is getting harder and harder, and ad revenues are going down, and I really want to make this my full-time job to create wonderful content for you guys. And I've given up a lot of wonderful opportunities so I can stay here on YouTube. So if you'd like to support the channel financially, there are 2 ways, but if you don't, that's okay as well. Just watching these videos give me tremendous support. So keep on watching. And for the rest of you who are doing well and you have extra means to donate, you can do so with my Patreon, or you can join my YouTube member. Click join on the members tab here. And in both cases, you will get bonus contents. And these are all mini bite-sized adventures, repotting, and like little shopping sprees. And I've also uploaded a resource of all the sellers in Southeast Asia that I've visited. They are usually reputable sellers, and they do export. So whether you are looking into plants as a customer, or if you're a business that are looking to import plants from Asia, these are really wonderful resources that's only open to members. And for YouTube members, you also have early access to some of these episodes. And for those of you who do not want to commit to a monthly situation, you could also do a one-time donation by sending a super thanks over here on YouTube. Now, I've actually done a ton of videos, and chances are you might have missed out some of them. So in my playlist section, I have categorized them by categories like propagation videos, care videos, and adventures. And you can maybe look through at some of the older videos as a means to support the channel, because I really do think that there are some content out there that I've done that you might have missed that you would find interesting. But I'm really going to bid you farewell this time. Thank you again for watching this all the way to the very end. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.